want to bring in our guests on this special broadcast as we look at these images. And I first want to start with my colleague Sandeep Unnithan as we bring in our other guests. Sandeep, as we look at these pictures, the Prime Minister with the future generation of our nation, and look at the big smiles, ear-to-ear grin on their faces. But the times ahead are extremely challenging. The Prime Minister's mantra, Atmanirbhar Bharat, make in India route to achieve our aim.
This interaction becomes more than just a gesture. It becomes a symbol that in India's journey forward, it is the people who are the true strength, and it is their belief.
Okay, I'll just reestablish that link with Sandeep in just a moment. I want to bring in Amitabh Tiwari. Amitabh, the Prime Minister emphasized on going vocal for local, Atmanirbhar, not just in defense, but also from space to deep sea excavation. Every businessman has to very proudly write, even shopkeepers, Swadeshi. Swadeshi is the route, indication that challenges ahead are big. Amitabh?
Map for a Vikasit Bharat, as you've mentioned, and he has exhorted the youth, Mahila and Kisan to dream big and realize the vision of Naya Bharat. A lot of thrust has been placed on Atmanirbhar Bharat, Make in India, Vocal for Local, Swadeshi, to breed self-sufficiency and make India rule the world market, is what he said. In these global challenges or turbulent times of Trump tariffs, the focus clearly is on developing or creating goods which are made in India, which not only cater to the needs of the Indian populace, but also we can export these goods globally so that the goods become a mark internationally. He has also talked about the challenges, as you mentioned. Challenges range from infiltration to poverty to global trade turbulence to national security, and also listed out the measures to meet these challenges, ranging from the success on red terror, the establishment of a high-powered demographic mission, the creation of a Suraksha Kavach or a model, which again will be made in India, local, self-sufficient, to boost our national security, and also how to take sufficient economic measures like boosting startups, make in India, self-sufficiency, so that
Absolutely. When we look at these images, Amitabh, for a moment, look at the enthusiasm amongst youngsters wanting to shake hands with the Prime Minister. And as he walked amongst these students, he also spent a moment or two with the Navy band. Before that, the Air Force band was there. And the Air Force band also had 12 new Agniveer musicians. Now, Agniveer is something that the Prime Minister has spoken extensively about in the past. It's a scheme that was hotly debated and contested, but the government's firm with modifications. This is a scheme that must be pursued. But as you look at these images, he's talking to the future generation. They are the ones who have to come up with the solutions that the nation is seeking, and that Atmanirbhar route is the solution he's talking about. He's talking about the challenges that we faced as a nation even during the COVID times. And that was the time when everyone said, India can't make a vaccine. India cannot have its own system, but India made our own vaccine, not only vaccinated our own people, but gave that vaccine to the global south, to the developing world, when the developed countries were not sharing those vaccines. And this is where India emerged as a strong leader of the developing world. So after interacting with these youngsters, and the youngsters want to spend more time with the Prime Minister, he will now be heading back. He will now be heading out, because it's only after the Prime Minister leaves that other dignitaries are able to leave. But Operation Sindoor is also a very significant part of what has been achieved there. The crowds who are waiting patiently, who've been, one, waiting patiently, two, braving not heavy rains, but there was a drizzle early in the morning. So the Prime Minister also spends time at the visitors gallery. with the students, with the VVIPs, and then with the voters or the common people of our country, all with their mobile phones and cell phones out, all hoping to shake hands with the Prime Minister, and he always has a moment to spare for youngsters. I want to bring in Sandeep Punithan as we look at these images. Sandeep, challenges immense on the road ahead to be Vikasit Bharat. But when we talk of this Naya Bharat, it is that Atmanirbhar Bharat route that the Prime Minister advocated.
Absolutely, Gaurav. Atmanirbhar Bharat, indeed, what the Prime Minister said, and you can see him with the young people. He's repeatedly invoked the youth of India. India is the it has the world's largest young population. 800 million Indians are below the age of 35. It is a huge, huge demographic dividend that the Prime Minister has repeatedly mentioned. Atmanirbhar Bharat, he knows, cannot succeed if the youth of India do not join this mission. And that's the reason that he's gone all out to talk about them, to encourage them. And you can see him, the way he's moving around the crowds. And I'm sure most of those kids who are there will never forget this day. It's a very big day for them. They waited patiently through rain and shine and humidity to see the Prime Minister. And this is a big moment. And, you know, Gaurav, as you said, Atmanirbhar Bharat, it is the prime focus of the Prime Minister's mission. He invoked that in 2020, 5 years ago. But this time, Atmanirbhar Bharat in 2025 comes at a very critical time in geopolitics, where India is kind of realizing that we are primarily on our own now. You know, the vicissitudes of foreign policy, the way people have been talking in public in the last couple of months. The Prime Minister is steeling the country up for the future, and he's talking about becoming self-sufficient, not just in defense equipment, which he's repeatedly mentioned, but also in energy security and right down to social media platforms. You know, security in space, in rare earths, semiconductors, electronics, all of that. He's preparing India for the road to 2035 and then to 2047. And he just laid down the milestones over there, and it says that we have to become self-sufficient in all of this. And the most important thing, Gaurav, is, you know, this Mission Sudarshan Chakra. It's very interesting. He's taken a long time to speak about this missile shield, if we can call it that. A missile shield that will protect India from, you know, attack and also retaliate. So, you know, we still don't know what the components of this are. We can only guess that it's possibly a missile shield with an offensive element to it as well.
So perhaps it will have those weapon locating radars, but of course there's a 10-year period where this will be developed. You have your own weapon locating radars. The moment you see the incoming missile coming in, you take that missile down and then you mount a counter-offensive, perhaps to take down that the threat at source from where the missile is coming and inflict damage on the adversary. Remains to be seen how this Sudarshan Chakra shield comes up. But what was also significant, and I want to bring in Adil Singh Boparai of the Congress Party, who now joins me on this broadcast, is the Prime Minister's reference to the Ghuspetiyas and a conspiracy to change the demographic profile of our country. What did you make of that, Adil Singh Boparai? He said this cannot be permitted, that the Ghuspetiyas take away our jobs, our land, and you know, misbehave with the women, with our daughters.
Well, Gaurav, happy Independence Day to all. I think our founding fathers today would be very disappointed with the turn of events in the country today. Mr. Modi's lofty proclamations are always, there's a huge gulf between his lofty proclamations and the ground reality. Today, when we have this discussion, we have serious issues on the purity of our electoral rules. The very edifice on which our democracy stands, which is the Election Commission of India, is under challenge. There have been empirical evidence which has been brought out by the opposition parties that the electoral rules are being manipulated. Point number one. Point number two, I found it quite ironic when the Prime Minister spoke about the farmers, because in the year 2020 to 2022, more than 500 farmers lost their lives, sacrificed their lives on the borders of the national capital when the farm laws were being pushed and thrusted upon this country. So therefore, like I said, high on rhetoric, high on showmanship, but always low on delivery. I think that is the template of Mr. Modi's 10 years of government. Number three, all of you and the Prime Minister and the BJP keep speaking about Atmanirbharta and talk about vocal for India. Please see the data. Year on year basis, our imports from China have increased. Let's look at empirical data. It is all very well for the Prime Minister to make lofty speeches from the ramparts of the Red Fort. But year on year, the Chinese imports have increased. Our dependence on Chinese imports have increased. And finally, before you go to your other panelists, I just want to leave your viewers with one statistic, which to me, not just as a spokesperson of the Congress party, but as a citizen of this country, it really disappoints me, Gaurav, is that 1% of India owns 40% of India's wealth. Look at the gross income inequality which exists in this country. 1% of India owns 40% of India's wealth. I think this has never
Fair
been
enough. The
done between
points that the
haves and
Congress
have-nots
party
will never be provided.
wanted to raise.